Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 26 of the Ready Up Gaming Podcast. I'm your host for the week, Bobby. Wee bit different this week. Niall's, as we said last week, he's in Portugal, enjoying the sun with the family. So joining me this week is, you might know him from episode 2 to 4, is Ciaran, Captain Fluidity, the Xbox. Ciaran,
The
how's
prodigal
things?
son.
The prodigal son. How's things for you? It's been a
Not so
while.
bad, mate. It has been a while. It's actually good to get back at it. So looking forward to getting into the deep dives and fulfilling Niall's wish of hearing our thoughts.
It's very Xbox orientated week as well, so it's good for you, obviously being the Xbox of the group.
The so-called.
You know, there was a lot of things back and forth the last time you were on episode 2 to 4, Xbox being fluid and being better than everything else. So it's going to be interesting to hear your own personal takes on the news today.
100%. Looking forward to it.
So this week we've got we're going to be deep diving into the Xbox and FTC court case that's kind of going on at the minute. And we've got Xbox has increased the price for the console and Game Pass. Starfield, more Starfield news with kind of funny interview that he done with Todd Howard. We've got Nintendo Direct, and we've also got Final Fantasy, our impressions of it, which I know Niall's looking forward to, and me and Ciaran's kind of on opposite ends of it all, so it's going to be exciting to see what way we kind of maybe disagree on a lot of things, or maybe agree on some sort of things.
Can only agree, mate.
Well, I don't know about that. But anyway, so let's get into the Xbox and FTC kind of the court case kind of going on at the minute. So, Ciaran, have you been kind of keeping tabs on this, or you kind of know a wee bit, or what's your kind of thoughts on it?
So I've obviously been keeping up to the point of sort of what happened there during the week. It was interesting to say the least. But yeah, it's obviously the last two hurdles, the CMA and now the FTC and what they're doing and trying to stop the deal. So it was interesting. So
So we'll kind of kick things off with, I've got like kind of bullet points because there's quite a lot to kind of get into. But so I've got it in bullet points. We'll kind of take a couple of points now before I get into it. Now, I seen you. You were on the documents. Three bullet points in. I read it before I actually got the reading on the actual podcast because you would have caught me out. So I just want to let you know that you didn't get me now, unless there's something else in the rest of the podcast that you will get me with. But I caught that one, and if it didn't actually read this beforehand, this would have got read out loud. But anyway, so we'll get into the kind of Sarah Bond stuff first. So first thing to kind of come out of it was she had said that basically Activision had threatened to pull Call of Duty off Xbox if they didn't agree to the higher revenue split. And Microsoft says occasionally they do agree to an 80-20 revenue split instead of a 70-30. So they're Activision kind of forced their hand on this one, didn't they?
And I think when we talk about it sort of later on, they're going down the road of sort of what happened with Bethesda and stuff as well. So
yeah,
I think it's just literally went down the same route. But again, they literally put their hand in just because they knew Microsoft were the underdogs in this, and they just thought they could get away with it.
100%. Like an Xbox today without Call of Duty, if the Series X didn't have Call of Duty on it, like realistically, a lot of people play that. It's kind of, I would say most casual gamers would be Warzone and things like that. So if that wasn't on Xbox at all, like that's a big blow.
100%, and I think you and Niall sort of talk about it quite a bit. It's FIFA and Call of Duty are the two sort of console sellers at the minute. You can get Fortnite anywhere, let's be honest, but those sort of two, when it's actually go out and buy them, it's
could you imagine going into like a game or whatever like out there, and some wee kids getting, or the mom's going in to buy their kid a console? Oh, here, by the way, the Xbox, this doesn't have Call of Duty or anything. They'd be like, oh, hold on a minute. I think that would be Xbox dead. Like, see if it didn't have, big games like Call of Duty and things like that. That's essentially what PlayStation's been kind of trying to do, and we'll get into that a wee bit more in the rest of the bullet points, but they've been trying to slowly, silently kind of kill Xbox.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think that's apparent when we read the rest of the way through and some of the points that were coming out. Like,
yeah, so what do we have next here? By the way, this show's going to be a wee bit more casual because I don't enjoy reading, I don't like reading, and Ciaran can only read Elven, which we don't actually have it translated to that, so we're it's just going to be a bit casual. So I'm just kind of going through the bullet points here. So what have we got? So we've got, what about the Jim Ryan email? We'll kind of hit that one next.
We'll get the funny one out of the way first. That that took me to the fair, like when it came out. Jim Rand coming out with that nonsense, I suppose, after the kicking and fussing and the crying that he's done for the last year.
So pretty much for the last year, he's been kind of going on about, Xbox this, Xbox that, they're going to make it exclusive. They're not giving us a big enough deal. But this email's come out, and he's like, no, I don't think this is a Xbox exclusivity play at all for Microsoft. He's thinking bigger than that there, and he's pretty sure that we'll continue to see COD on PlayStation for many years to come. And even without that there, like, we'll be more than okay. Which is complete polar opposite of what he's been saying for the past fucking year. Everybody's been flying everywhere. That's another thing. He's been flying all these different countries to kind of stop this deal. But for this court case, he's sent in a video, a pre-recorded video link. He's not actually even appearing on it.
That's it. He didn't even live stream himself there.
Like, that's an absolute joke. Like,
and that's it. Like, you know, the fact that he's sitting there crying and comes out with, "We'll be more than okay," and we're not really worried. They don't see Xbox as a competitor.
No,
in my eyes, you know, that they dominate the market far too much, and it's every sort of console generation. It's the same. I think 360 might have been the sort of only one where there might have been a switch up.
There was a big switch up for the 360. It did come out a year ahead, and it was obviously cheaper as well. You had a lot more developers developing for the 360 as well, but I think in the end, PlayStation actually overtook them. And
that's it. And then it's sort of he sort of talks about the big things that they have in the sort of pipeline to keep themselves okay. So it's mad the sort of play that they're playing at, but again, I suppose at the other side of that, there must be something that sort of got them to kick up such a fuss, because I do say it will be a loss of revenue in some shape or form if it did end up becoming exclusive later down the line, not necessarily, obviously. You know, you don't know what happens.
And not even just that there as well, because we obviously know it's going to be on Game Pass day one whenever the deal does go through, if the deal does go through. And that's obviously going to be a big selling point as well. You go into like a game or whatever, you're going to see the big day one signs everywhere. Call of Duty, it's free. Your new Call of Duty every year that's going to be on just part of the subscription plan. It's going to be a big blow.
Could you imagine that all around, like New York and everything in Times Square, just Call of Duty on Xbox for free?
Yeah, I think even when this deal actually first sort of came about, there was, I think it was maybe Germany or something, like the game shops that are in there, I don't know what they were, but they were actually putting up signs, by the way, Xbox has just bought Activision, or they're trying to buy Activision. So, you know, make this decision carefully if you're buying a console, because it could be exclusive.
It's mad, like how instantly it makes that big of a difference. Like, but then you've Jim Ryan there going, sure, it's one of them things, isn't it?
that's just wild the way he's changed his tune. To kind of stay on with the whole Jim Ryan thing, he was pretty much saying as well, if this deal does go through, that Activision aren't getting the PS6 dev kits.
Which is madness.
So this was actually brought up to do with Minecraft as well, because FTC were questioning as to why there's no PS5 Minecraft version, but there's not a Series X version either.
No, sure wasn't there talk of them doing that whole ray tracing for next gen and all.
Yeah, that right. Do you know what I think it is? I think there's some deal that they're in place that you can't have the version on Xbox better, and they have it ready. But they don't have the PlayStation one ready because they didn't have the dev kit. They have the because we know it exists, that the update for the ray tracing and all does exist for the console, but it's just nowhere to be seen. But see, if you actually download Minecraft now on PlayStation, I'm near sure it got a Pro patch, PS4 Pro patch, whereas the Xbox version didn't. So it's actually running at a higher resolution. I think it might be 1440p on the PlayStation, but it's still 1080p on the Xbox. So that's it shows, because I played it recently. I stuck it on for the wee lad on the PlayStation, and it is noticeably graphically better.
I didn't even know that, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, so it actually runs better and looks better on a PS5 than it does on a Series X as of now.
That's mad. And even if you sort of bring that back to sort of why there's no PS5 version of Minecraft, like if they're going to carry on like that and sort of not send out dev kits, they're just cutting off their nose to spite their face, like, aren't they? Do you know, it's...
But what does that mean though, for like, so if they don't take the dev kit, or if they don't give the dev kit out, like, are we not going to see Call of Duty on a PS6? Because like, it's going, obviously Microsoft's going to be developing it for their console, whatever the new Xbox is, and if they're not willing to give their dev kit out, because they obviously don't want Microsoft to know what they're cooking.
Yeah,
in terms of technology and things like that.
But then is
it's going to cause issues.
But is that the other counterpart to, remember Ciaran came out and says that they'll make it technically better on Xbox or graphically better on Xbox. Well, if you don't have a dev kit, you're not going to be able to optimize it to be better or even the same.
They've been saying all this. Ciaran's been saying all this because this is stuff that PlayStation's been doing for a long time. You look at Callisto Protocol there recently. There was a lot of Sony people a lot of PlayStation people went and worked on that, and the PlayStation version was notably better. There was no ray tracing or anything in the Xbox versions. So this is stuff that
the reflections wasn't it was missing or something.
So they've done this stuff, and that's why they're saying, "Oh no, Xbox is going to do this stuff." When in my experience, they haven't. In terms of any of their games that went over, Minecraft Dungeons, I'm not sure if it has a 120 patch yet on PS5. It does on the Xbox, but before that, it was on parity. It was the same.
But you're saying that they can't really do anything if they don't have the dev kits, can they?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, if they're not willing to give their dev kits out because they think they're going to steal their technology, then I know what's in the new console. Then there's not really much Microsoft can do, is there? Realistically.
But that's madness because even if you take out Call of Duty from that, like there's the likes of Diablo would not be able to get optimized, or Overwatch. Sure, what does that end up falling down? Do you know what I mean? And especially with PlayStation and stuff having the Evo, isn't it? They use Evo for their online side of things.
The fighting, that's the fighting.
The fighting, but I mean they're sort of more orientated towards the competitive edge, I suppose. That's where they're focusing a lot in. Again, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think sort of PlayStation are trying to have that more competitive edge.
The Evo is like a specific fighting tournament. That's what.
Fair enough. Okay,
I know what you're saying. They're trying to move on to like the kind of games as a service kind of stuff, but no, Evo in general that's a fighting, like tournament that they own.
Fair enough. That makes sense. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why they done like a deal to get like Street Fighter 5 and all
across
exclusives because they were wanting to be known as the fighting platform, even though Xbox actually has the better D-pad for it.
Aye.
100% better D-pad. Notably better. So moving on from that, there we've got the Indiana Jones kind of stuff. So it was basically brought out that this was kind of announced through the FTC kind of the court thing that Indiana Jones is going to be exclusive. It was actually coming to PlayStation, but I think they went back and reworked the deal and got it exclusive. And they were FTC was kind of pointing out at that there, like, you went and done this here. What's going to stop you from doing this? The Activision games. I think Phil Spencer, or I can't remember if it was Phil or somebody else. I think it was maybe Pete Haynes. Actually, he kind of countered that. Was like, well, Spider-Man's like for Disney IP and it's exclusive to PlayStation. What's the difference? Yeah, 100%. I was arguably Spider-Man as well is a way bigger IP than fucking Indiana Jones.
And 100%. And even if you look at sort of the fact that they're making it, if they're going to make it exclusive, they've every right to. But I suppose at the same time, you sort of look at that and go, well, where's that impact? If you think about sort of if they go back and rework it, what have they had to do to rework that if it was already in? Because I thought they had to sort of stick with everything that was already in the works.
No,
so it'd be interesting to see.
No, so we'll actually kind of bring this in as well. So like Starfield was actually meant to. There's a PlayStation were trying to get it as an exclusive. So there was clearly a PlayStation like build there, and Xbox have obviously stopped that.
Aye. Ban them out.
Ban them out. So yeah, that was another thing that was kind of added was like they got Deathloop exclusivity. They got what do you call that? Ghostwire Tokyo, and they were trying to get Starfield, and Xbox were like, what, like enough's enough, and they just went down and bought Bethesda.
That's one way to make it.
Because realistically, they couldn't not have them games coming to Xbox as well, which make sense. And then the near, obviously, we talked about it earlier, when they didn't get Call of Duty if they didn't agree to that revenue split. So like they're kind of forcing their hand at this point, and that's why they're actually they're having to invest and make sure they can secure these titles.
100%. And Indiana Jones would be an interesting one. I think it would actually have a big following as well if they did make it exclusive. I think that'd be a big one for Microsoft to get their hands on, especially now obviously having Starfield as well. Then we don't know about Elder Scrolls yet, if I'm right in thinking that. That's still on the fence.
that was kind of brought up, and I think Phil kind of answered to that, saying, it is so far out. We don't know what platforms it's going to be on. We don't know what consoles is going to be there. So I would say it's going to be exclusive. I don't see why it wouldn't be. But I think it kind of got away with that there by saying, listen, like, this is like Starfield's not even out, and that's the guys that's going to be doing this here. So this is years off. I would imagine this is going to be like maybe the new Xbox, maybe a launch title for it.
Aye. But then, do you see Elder Scrolls being like a Call of Duty? What Call of Duty is, the Activision for Bethesda, though, where they'd be silly to not do a cross-platform for the amount of revenue it'll probably generate?
I don't know. No. I think Call of Duty is different because Call of Duty is games as a service, so they'll get all the money off all the stuff that people buy, the battle passes. Like a lot of people just play the free Warzone and get the battle passes and get skins and get all that other kind of stuff. So that's where the real kind of money's made in Call of Duty. Like, so no, I don't think so. I think they would personally, if it was me, I would make it exclusive, make Elder Scrolls exclusive. I think it'd be a big selling point for a new Xbox. Like, imagine that all over the box, the new Elder Scrolls. Like, what's your kind of history with Elder Scrolls? You don't. Oh, actually, no. You got stuck in a fucking village, didn't you? And got killed or something, wasn't it?
Well, tell a story about it.
Go ahead.
So I beat the first wee dragon boss, and then you go into the first main village, and I kicked a chicken, and they turned on me. The security wouldn't let me back into the city, so every time I went into the city, they kept killing me, all because I kicked a chicken. But rather than just resetting and taking 40 minutes to do it again, I just went, fuck this game, I don't like it, and turned it off and never played it again.
Mm-hmm. You're
just
missing
because
out.
I kicked a chicken and it was game over. Like, so I think I'd hate to get about 40 hours in and for something stupid like that to happen again and you lose your game or something.
See, the thing is, and when you get further in, you still can't do stuff like that there. You can actually go in and just kill an entire village or entire like town, and then you'll be wanted.
But the problem is, it's because the main quest was in that village, and because it was then wanted, I couldn't go and do the next part of the quest. So it literally locked me out of the game, and I was like, fuck this.
This was quite at the start, wasn't it?
Aye, it's literally about 40 minutes in. You go down, and I think you meet your first dragon out on the like main field, and then you go up into the village itself. But fuck, I literally I was just standing about, and then this wee chicken was standing past. I either kicked it or I stabbed it or done something to it, and then it just took off the main mission, and that was that. And it was just like, fuck this.
it took me a while to get into Skyrim, like, but once I did and kind of got around all the mechanics and all the different things you could do, like I always went and I think I've beat it twice. And what I always do, I always go straight to ignore the main quest and go straight and do the werewolf quest and become werewolf. So I have that ability, which is fucking awesome. And then they brought a DLC where there was a vampire. You can be like vampire lord and all. So I kind of done in my head. I was doing this whole thing where I was a werewolf going against the vampire in the main fight, like fucking that Van Helsing movie. It was class. Loved it.
That'd be pretty cool actually. But then, is it too far gone now to get back into it? That's the thing.
No, it's very well optimized and stuff now. 60 FPS on console, it's probably even better on PC. It's definitely worth a shout because are you into the Fallout or anything either? No.
No. That's one obviously. Well, again, it's coming out with Starfield. I suppose we'll talk about that a wee bit. It was just too dark for me in regards to colours. Fallout 4 and stuff.
Very muddy and very brown.
I just didn't catch my interest. And then my controller layout stopped me from playing it as well, but we'll not talk about that one either.
Aye, because you play backwards. Fuck me. I couldn't believe that there. So Ciaran actually, I think wasn't it Halo that kind of done that to you?
Halo, yeah. So I couldn't get used to the Xbox controller when you have to do it with the default, so I changed myself to Legacy layout. Anyone that hasn't done Legacy layout, go and do it and let me know what you think about it in the comments.
It's awful. I think was it Call of Duty I tried that in with you?
You ended up going around in circles.
I don't know how you do it. Honestly, don't.
So, but I've done this bad thing where I've tried to practice on default and get myself used to that. Like some games don't do it. I was like, fuck it, I'm not missing out on games. I'm going to do it. So I've done it, but now I'm stuck in that sort of limbo of both. So when I go to play on default, I'm sort of half run about. And then some games play better than others on it. It's mad. Like Battlefield, I can't play Battlefield. I can play it on default, but I can't play it on the Legacy. Where Call of Duty, I have to play on Legacy, but I can't play properly on default. It's mad the way it works, like.
It's crazy.
It's probably me just being me.
You haven't passed this curse on to your children or anything, have you?
No, but one of my sons play like inverted Southpaw or something on Minecraft or Fortnite, one of the two. and it was just like
Okay, so that's like just up is down, down's up on the right stick.
downs up. Aye, but then the sticks are reversed or something. The
Oh,
fucking
Jesus.
something. I was just like, what the fuck? How'd you end up on that one?
Fucking hell.
I thought I was bad. Must be just a wee gene that's in us, mate.
Fucking hell. It's crazy. Right, so what else? We've got so Phil Spencer, he was made to actually swear on oath that he would put Call of Duty on the PlayStation. Like it was like 3 or 4 times they made him do this, and he had to word it differently every single time. It was like, I will raise my hand, I'll do whatever it takes. We have no plan. I'm making a commitment standing here that I will not pull Call of Duty. This is my testimony from PlayStation. So they're making him swear several times. Where is it? Would Spencer make the same promise? Alright, so one of them, this must be the FTC. They asked, would Spencer make the same promise for all Activision content? And he says, no, it wouldn't make sense because Activision has games currently that are on mobile and PC only, like World of Warcraft and stuff, which does make sense. So he can't actually definitively say, yes, every single Activision Blizzard game will be on PlayStation, because that's not always the case. Speaking of World of Warcraft, like I honestly think it'll come to Xbox after the deal, not straight after the deal, but I think that'll be something to work to bring to Xbox.
Oh, it has to. With the way the way the successes came from like porting Age of Empires and stuff, and I appreciate it's a completely different game, like, but the following that WoW has, and Niall sort of all over this, that's the only thing he wanted from the showcase and all, like a couple of weeks ago. But it has to come, and it makes no sense if you're gonna acquire those sorts of IPs, like
100%.
you'd have to port that, like,
that would get me in.
You can do it anyway. Sure, you can already set up your console or your controller for the PC, so I don't see why it wouldn't happen. Like,
yeah, I know that's obviously the community that's kind of modded that there, but then if they take kind of leaf out of Bethesda's book, they actually bring modders in, and they've actually employed a lot of modders to work in Bethesda because they've done so much good work with it.
That's it.
So
made the game
something
better.
like, so it's 100% possible. I mean, the controls, they do work. They need a wee bit more refinement, I think, to be 100%, like, so to make it feel native. But apart, they're like 95% there to me on the controller.
But even that, you know, even if you didn't have the controller, it's still keyboard and mouse. Do you know, you can still plug in the keyboard and mouse. You love that, don't you?
No, see, that's one thing I thought they would have done, but then the more I thought about it, probably not, was like the Age of Empires, to bring all that over and just say, yes, you can play it on console, but you have to use a keyboard and mouse. But obviously they didn't do that because they don't want that. They don't want kind of keyboard and mouse to be attached to the Xbox, whatever. They want that to just be like an option. You know, you can do this. So that wouldn't work. But I would have been happy enough for that there, like, to be able to play it. I'm sure the likes of Tim, he's actually playing Age of Empires 2 at the minute, I've just seen, but he's busting to get Age 4, like he doesn't have a PC or anything.
It's a surprising one that never came up there the other week too.
It's a worrying one that didn't come up, because we've only got the rest of the year here to go. It's meant to be coming this year, and I know Relic, who make it, I want to say it's Relic, they had some sort of layoffs or something like that there recently, but apparently like development on the game still there or whatever, but kind of worrying that it wasn't there. Let me see. Do we have anything else on this? Do you have any points that you've made just while I scan over this here that we haven't kind of touched on?
The only other, let me just see, I did have just on the notes itself, let me just see if I can grab hold of it here. It was actually around, I believe it was the Phil Spencer side of things. Effectively saying that the console war is over. I thought this was a big one for them. Now, I appreciate they've already, I think Phil said this, where he doesn't see themselves as sort of big players in the console market. I think he done that on the Xcast podcast, I think he was on, but he sort of positions himself bottom of the bottom, so he doesn't necessarily think that this is going to make a big difference.
It's not going to make a difference. Maybe going into the shop and stuff like that there, if they do the advertising right for Call of Duty being on Game Pass, then yes, you might see a lot more people going in and buying an Xbox over a PlayStation for that reason. But that's just the average gamer kind of got into it. But I don't think it's going to make a shift of any like major kind. Like if all that stuff's still on PlayStation, like, it's not going to make a huge shift in the consoles. Like, I definitely think it's
too far gone.
It's way too far gone now. The Xbox One, that was kind of the nail in the coffin, like, with the way it launched.
But I
And
think that's what they're doing, isn't it? Though they're sort of saying now they're not necessarily just worried about consoles; it's playing
they're
everywhere.
not.
So
They're more worried about mobile. It actually came up. I forgot to actually write this down, but they actually tried to purchase Zynga, which kind of fell through. I think
right
it was
before
it Take
this,
Two. Take Two, I think, wasn't it? That got them.
yeah,
Yeah. So
and
they're actively planning. Like this is for mobile mainly and PC. That's where they want to kind of push into. Obviously, Activision's just part of it because it's mainly Blizzard and King that they want. Call of Duty's just been the kind of the main thing of the show because everybody's kind of giving off about PlayStation, but it's
there's
mainly
nothing to
about
worry about.
PC. You know that they're pushing the PC. They try and get the subscriptions for Game Pass there. Like, and you know, it's smart. Like we're not big mobile gamers, like, but mobile gaming is huge.
I throw a couple of quid in every now and again when I'm playing the likes of Candy Crush and all. So I'm one that invests in the likes
Yeah,
of
well,
King.
that's what I mean.
Do
Like,
you know what I mean? So you sort of get this wee, instead of it being $12.99, you can have it for $1.49. You've got your wee Google reward sitting there, and you go,
mm-hmm.
all right, no bother, that'll do. I'll take that.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. So I mean, Candy Crush is one of the like I probably makes more money than fucking Call of Duty,
it's mad, isn't it?
or at
When
least
you
on
think
par
about it,
to
like,
it. Because it's always like I actually played it when this kind of came out just to see how bad it was. I had like 5 goes and it was like, do you want another 3 goes for like £2.50? I was like, what the fuck? We only fucking started it.
straight in there, no kissing. More money,
Yeah,
please.
that's where the money's at. It's on mobile and stuff like that and PC. And to be fair, they have been kind of making a decent push to the PC with the games kind of coming out. They've got, you know, obviously Age of Empires. They got a couple more Humankind and stuff like that. There, kind of PC centered games. Football Manager and PC is definitely a better experience than it is on console.
Yeah,
and things like
100%.
that. And I think they're going to continue even after this year. They're still going to continue to acquire more people, more publishers, and more developers.
Of course, I just don't think they'll be able to get another big one like Activision, though. That's the only thing that'll have to be more.
Activision's the biggest. When you think about it, they're the biggest.
When you think about the last two that's been bought, like Cinemax and Activision, is
they're two big boys. Cinemax not so much, but when you compare them to like EA and stuff like that, but
still big IPs though. Still notable IPs. Like when you think about their Elder Scrolls and stuff like it, you know that the player base that's on some of them is frightening. But I don't see it stopping them. And again, I think I've said this to Niall many times. I think Sega's going to be the next one that comes in. See with the way.
So yeah,
it's the next logical one when you're sort of looking at what's going on.
Sega also have they own Total War and Football Manager. So like that's perfect. Like imagine the Total War games and all just coming free under your Game Pass subscription. Makes sense.
Yeah, awesome.
And they're Japanese too, like so they kind of get a wee bit more of a foothold in Japan.
That's it.
So
it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out. And then what is it next month? I think it is. Actually, near enough, just a month from now, where the review or the appeal of the CMA is done next month, isn't it?
Yes, I think
it's
the whole cloud argument from this here is kind of going to back up their argument against the CMA. So
yeah,
I don't think the FTC stand a chance at the minute. Like they're kind of getting destroyed. The judges kind of dismissing them a lot of times, and because they're just asking the same thing, rewording it, trying to get I don't know what kind of response they're wanting. Because I think Phil was like, you know, I've literally said this like 3 times, but not in them words.
You just want me to change your words
about stuff, and they're asking silly questions about cloud. I think Google was in as well, and Google kind of answered towards Microsoft's favor.
Yeah,
by the questions they were asking. So I think it continues on Tuesday. The rest of the case, I don't know how long it's going to be on all week or not, but the FTC case continues on Tuesday. So we'll probably have more news. I'm sure Niall's going to be excited to talk about it next week when he's back.
Bet you he can't wait. I'm sure he's already looking forward to this.
He's probably skipped all this. He probably has. He's probably just
100%.
Scrolling looking for the fucking Final Fantasy bit.
We should just done it right in the middle somewhere, shouldn't we? Shouldn't even leave it there.
I should not do timestamps. That's what I should do. Do you know what? Anyway, I'm doing the Spotify one's going up first anyway, so I'll just put that one up. He has no timestamp, so you'll have to look through it or listen to it.
You have to listen to it all.
Yeah.
What happened?
But staying on Xbox, we're kind of just going to move on to the price increase.
Yes.
So the console, both the Xbox Series X and Game Pass have got a price increase. This isn't everywhere. It's everywhere apart from the US, Japan, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia. So the Series X for us, obviously, because we're in the UK, there's no point in naming any other prices. The Series X is going up from $450 to $480. Game Pass normal is going to from $7.99 to $8.99, and Game Pass Ultimate is going from $10.99 to $12.99. So, what do you think about this here? Because I think it was going to happen eventually.
Of course, it was going to happen. I think we actually spoke about this. I think this was actually spoke about recently? In the podcast about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just we're sort of arguing over how much would you pay for it, and I was sort of like $10.99. Nothing more than it.
So you cancelled yours then?
So that's me. I'm done. I'm cancelled. While Ciaran's back on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's obviously ultimately going to happen. The only thing that I would like to see from it then is the actual potential quality, because I think the quality of Game Pass has potentially slipped with third-party deals in some instances. Now, I appreciate, obviously, there's some big hitters in the showcase, and some exciting titles in the showcase itself. But I do think at the same time, over the last sort of 12, 18 months, it's been quite slow, if that makes sense.
The next few months aren't too bad, because we've got actual Primal. It's July, isn't it? Or is it the end of
next month?
Next month, so it's July. We've got Lies of P coming. We've got Starfield. We've got Forza. Anything else first? I don't think there's anything else first party.
So there's only the two first party ones coming out there. Then, as I say, there's not really big deals coming in with third party. I think I'm just salty that all the Final Fantasies have come off, to be fair.
Are they all off them now?
Every one of them are gone, so
that's good. Nobody wants them.
Maybe we'll not get into this. We'll talk about this in a bit.
Nobody plays them. That's why the way. But I think it's good they've got this out now before this Activision deal goes through, though, because if the deal went through and then they put the price up, they'll be like, "Oh, hold on a minute, you have just got Activision and now you're bumping up the price." That will kind of be like a bad look for them, because I think there was 100%. Price concerns as well, like, "Oh, you're going to bump the price up, your subscriptions and stuff like that in the console." So it's kind of came out, and not really many people's kind of been going on about it, because the rest of the things that's going on in the Xbox world. So
they sort of got away with this one, because didn't they try and like increase the price of the gold or something about a year and a half ago?
That lasted a day.
A day in the uproar, where there hasn't been many rumblings. I think people just accept. And
I mean, Sony done it. Sony put up the price of both their consoles. The $480.
I give them a buy ball to do it. Do you know where it's like, well, Sony's already done it, and they're, but saying that, like, it's still favourable in regards to the price, and you get 2 games off this a year. You're effectively paying a year subscription if you think a £70 game. Starfield is a perfect example. Starfield and Forza for a year.
Lies of P, there's 3 big ones that I would have bought. That's it covered.
But you'll still go to PlayStation and play them when you can get them for free on Game Pass. Well, not Starfield and Forza, but more Lies of P.
So there's what else was I going to say? The Series S didn't drop in price, or didn't go up in price. Sorry, at all.
I didn't see that happening, because they obviously just announced that 1 terabyte Series
for
S
300. So that kind of makes that that Series S, the £300 one, look a wee bit nicer now. That the prices went up on the Series X. It's kind of a wee bit more of a gap.
And I think that's I think they probably played that well in regards to get that out there, hype people, because you're pretty hyped on this Series S. The fact that you can get the 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
Aren't you saying you're buying one or pre-ordering one?
I probably will, because it looks really nice. It's black and nice and sleek. It comes out the same day that early access for Starfield does. Coincidence. So you needed a bigger hard drive.
500 gig for the game.
It's going to be a beefy boy. So it is.
But so it makes sense. Keep that where it is. So you still have your entry point, where PlayStation don't have that entry point. And if you think about the handheld side of things with Nintendo, it's the sort of price of a Switch OLED, give or take, a couple of pounds.
Yeah.
So it's still your entry level to sort of still get into the console side of things. But then you've obviously got your beefier ones that aren't more expensive than PlayStation, but are technically more powerful. So
yeah, it's Series S is a fantastic console as well. Like all the kids have it, and I've tried it. It actually has more 120 FPS games than the PS5 does, strangely. But it's great for the kids. I'm just waiting in terms of Game Pass for the family plan to come out.
That makes sense for you because you've like 5 on it, don't you? You'd actually
Yeah,
sort of max out the family pass.
it's perfect for me because it means me and then the 4 kids will get the subscription under one kind of price. So it's kind of, I'm just waiting on that because
See what
am
the
I
price is
fuck
now.
paying $12.99 for the rest of them to keep it at the minute?
That'd be mad, wouldn't it? Actually,
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
so yeah, it'd be interesting to see sort of what, because that again is probably all tactical moves. To be fair, where you sort of go, fuck, I've got 3 Xboxes in the house. It makes more sense to have a family pass at £30 rather than sort of doing one game share and then someone else having the subscription sort of thing where you can actually get more. So
and all I know is it was tested in Ireland and what do you call it, Colombia, I think. Republic of Ireland, like not us, we're in Northern Ireland. If anybody's listening, we're like, oh, they're Irish, we're not.
Depends on who you talk to.
There's a difference. But there was like a price leak on in the US store as well, like, so it is incoming. We just don't know when. So yeah, move on to the next topic, which is
Xbox.
More Xbox stuff. Niall's probably glad he's not here for this one. So the Starfield interview, Todd Howard interview with Kind of Funny, kind of give off some more well, I've just got bullet points, a lot more information about it. Kind of people were asking questions and he was just kind of answering them. Some he didn't answer, some he did. So first one I've got wrote down here is we'll go back and forth because you have your own bullet points. So there's no fishing.
This is me putting the game down, mate. I was all for the fishing luck.
So there's no fishing, at least in the traditional sense of casting a rod and actually, with bait and catching it. He says that you can kill fish and things like that there, but there's no actual fishing as of yet. Until
the modders put it in day 3.
100%. I think that was actually added in Skyrim. There was DLC added for fishing.
That's mad.
So, people love it. Like people absolutely love just sitting there and fishing.
See, this is the thing, and this is probably the biggest thing I took from this. I was sort of, I wasn't into my Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
It never hooked me, do you know? And as I say, it was just that sort of murky feel. It felt really fucking depressing. Obviously, it is, like, you know. But it's one of those ones. It was sort of like, fuck this, do you know? And it was just. But then he was sitting, even just for the bullet point. See the fact that he says the exploration. You're going to be there for, you just hop on and you'll. I love games like that. Do you know, like The Sims, where you hop on and you lose 4 hours of your day, and you're sort of 100%. Just like, but you've really enjoyed yourself. Do you know, like, you're sort of like, fuck it, it didn't feel like 4 hours, but I actually sat and enjoyed. And you might not have done much, you might have done loads, but you don't care that you wasted. Where, do you know, some games that you play, you sort of sit there for 4 hours and you're like, I'm never picking this up again. Fuck this.
See, I had that with Zelda. I was sitting and I was just doing absolutely nothing for like 4 hours, and like I've made no progress whatsoever. But I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I've made progress like elsewhere. Like I was just grinding bits for armor and things like that, and I've made no actual progress. But there's another thing he said, there's 1,000 planets that was kind of announced at the showcase, and he says around 10% of them have actual alien life. So that's, you're talking about 100 then?
100.
Yeah, around 100 of the promised 1,000 worlds to explore have life, which is fine because that's. That's realistic, but
that's it. That's the fun of it again, where you sort of go, okay, so you're going to go and upgrade your ship to get a little bit further, your grav side of things,
which is cool. I like that.
It is pretty cool, and this is where she's sitting listening to this. I was sort of like, this bastard's got me. I'm going to be one of these ones that pumps loads of hours into this game, and it's going to feel like I haven't got anywhere. But what I've actually done is just went and explored every planet just to see what has life, what the life looks like. Or the fact of what I can go and get out of it, because again, even on the back of that, if they don't have life, the likelihood is they're going to have like
lots of materials,
outposts and lots of materials and things like that you can go and take over. So you're sort of like, well, fucking, do you know, it's that the FOMO of things where you sort of go, if I don't go to that, I might miss something.
Yeah. So another point on the kind of the planets he said was like, there's some single biome ones like being frozen worlds of ice, like so like just frozen ice planets. Other planets have far more diverse biomes, which is often accompanied by diverse range of alien life. It's like planets have different traits as well, such as low gravity or environmental hazards, and unprepared players can quickly end up in a lot of danger, which is fucking class.
I like that as well, and that's where again you get that hook of have I missed something? Do I need to do something first? Actually, I'll go back and explore everything, and that's where it's going to hook me. That's where it'll get me because, like when you talk about your sort of Final Fantasies and things like that, I was talking to you the other day. Like Final Fantasy X, I have a save now. I've beat this game countless times, but my current save I'm 130 hours in and still not beat it because you're doing a wee bit extra. You're going and doing, the side
Mm-hmm.
content as such, where you're getting the ultimate bosses. Because the idea of Final Fantasy's filled with like super bosses, and it's that sort of sense of going. But if I go and do, or if I find this one thing, or if I go and do this one thing, and I love that, and I think that sort of ties in even with the likes of the ships as well,
Mm-hmm.
where you can go and you can either steal a ship, or you can build your own ship. But the ships that you actually steal, you can register them, keep them, and then
Yeah.
upgrade those ones. And you're like, this is fucking class.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if I'd be the one that would sit on a planet going, fuck, I'm just going to sit here walking about shooting fish and catching fish, or am I going to end up being a space pirate?
See
And
that that's one thing. The whole like ship stealing thing was I think Todd Howard said this. It was maybe IGN. I think I might have mentioned it last week, but he was kind of playing it, and he's on this planet, and there's these space pirates kind of landed down. He was in like a bit of a shooting battle with them all. He ended up on their ship, shooting down at the other ones that were kind of on the planet, and then the ship took off, and he was in space, and he was thinking to himself, "Can this happen?" And he's like, "Oh well, obviously it did."
obviously,
So he was in space in the pirate ship that they've took off in, while his own ship's down there and all. Like I think stuff like that's crazy.
and
That's what you get with a Bethesda game. You don't know what you're
that's
getting.
it. And that's it. But then I think a lot of people sort of take this as it's really exciting to see what the sort of bugs are going to be, or the not necessarily bugs, but how things don't actually go the way they expected them to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends up being sort of some of the biggest parts in the game. The fact that you can do something that wasn't expected, because that's where modders and stuff end up coming in, isn't it? Because that's what they have a lot of in the likes of the Fallout and Skyrims and stuff. They have a lot of modders, don't they?
Yeah, actually, I'll bring that point in now because he says touching on mod support, like what the community will be able to do, and he referred to Starfield as modders paradise. And he's like, it's important for us not just to enable but to participate as well. So we've made it easy for them, which they do tend to do in most of these Bethesda games. So there's going to be a lot of modders excited about this here. They've worked on previous Bethesda games, kind of coming in, and that's why for me, like I don't know. See, Skyrim all added mods for Xbox as well. I don't know where it's going to be there at launch, but on PC, like that's going to be a big benefit. Like, because obviously people's going to come in with graphic mods and all that kind of weird stuff, and fuck knows what else.
It's mad though, isn't it, when you think about it? Like Todd Howard sitting there going, "I've wanted to do this game for 20 years." They released it at 30 FPS, and then probably about 6 weeks later, the modders are going to have probably having it running at all sorts with high fidelity, and you're sort of like, "What the?
Yeah,
Why
and
couldn't I do that?"
and that's why they've hired a lot of them because
Class,
they've done so well. Like they've done like there's people making Oblivion, which is the previous Elder Scrolls game before Skyrim, in the Skyrim engine at the minute. I actually seen them on Twitter earlier. It should be ready for 2025, but they're making the whole game within the Skyrim engine, which is nuts.
It's mad. But that's it. It actually got me hyped because I was sort of like, I reckon this game will get really boring really quickly. Because it's obviously a solo. It's not like you can jump in and co-op and things like that. But from what I'm seeing here, I can end up seeing me putting days upon days into this and not even noticing. Look,
Yeah, see if this was co-op, that'd be unbelievable.
it'll be patched in, or it'll be modded in. Give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely, because that's one thing Tim was mentioning to me before he got on the podcast last week. This was before, like he was mentioning, I'm curious to see what way the multiplayer works, and I was like, there is no multiplayer. He's like, well, I'm glad I asked that before I got onto the podcast. But it would be absolutely incredible. Imagine us all just with our fucking ships, just flying about, scouting the universe together, all the different galaxies, going to all the planets and things like that. It'd be fucking
Saying
phenomenal.
he's never playing it again because it's a co-op game. So you know what he's like.
Oh, I would, 100%. So, companions. There's 4 constellation companions that you can romance, because obviously you're not familiar really with Bethesda games, but the likes of Skyrim and stuff, you can romance people and you can actually get married.
What I mean, as in you get married to them, you don't sort of
Yep.
fucking be here. Will you go out with my mate?
No, so you can actually get married to them. I think in Skyrim you can actually adopt children or have children and stuff too.
Right. Okay.
Not too sure. Now maybe know a bit more if he's listening. He can kind of
So that'd be similar to the sort of Fable. Cause I played a lot of Fable and stuff. So the way you can sort of get married, get a house, all of that shit in Fable, you can do that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can definitely do that in Skyrim. 100%. You can do that in Skyrim
That's pretty cool,
because
actually.
I think
Again,
they added the house and stuff in after as DLC, but you could always kind of have a like a romantic companion, which is quite cool.
that's pretty cool, actually. Again, they're the sorts of things that hook me because you sort of
Yeah.
just go and fuck. Again, FOMO. You feel like you're missing out on something if you don't do it. Or
Mhm.
for the achievement ones like you, it's probably going to be an achievement to go
Yeah.
and do it.
I love companions, always have since like the KOTOR and the original Xbox having different companions, and some maybe you don't like, so you just treat them a bit more like an asshole. So in Starfield you can designate them to certain ports and things like that there, so that they're not actually with you all the time if they're starting to piss you off. So you can just kind of, hey, right, well, you know what, you're staying here. I don't want you on the
Yeah.
ship.
Well, right. Okay. See, that's the sort of thing that would hook me. Yeah, that's the thing that I would go. Yeah. Do you know what? I want to do that. Or as you say, kick someone off a ship and then
Yeah.
romance somebody else or do what else you need to do.
Do whatever you want, and they'll
Get off my
react on
ship.
how if you start doing bad shit or whatever, some of them might not take to that. They'll maybe kind of confront you about it.
That's where they get kicked off the ship.
That's where they get kicked off the ship. Correct.
the other thing I did just off the back of that, the economy side of things as well. I like the outposts.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I think it was very clear in saying sort of building the ships and building outposts and stuff isn't going to be start of the game. It's more end game where you're sort of building everything up.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it's not going to be down to how much you necessarily put in, where you have to go and kill or sell fucking diamonds that you find on or whatever element you find on a planet. The
Yeah,
fact
because
that you can actually set up outposts to be economy generators is pretty
you
decent as
can
well.
smuggle contraband and stuff like that there. Because that was one of the questions that was asked, was like, what happens to players who get detected trying to smuggle contraband? And all he had to say was, "You'll have to wait and see."
That'll be me and the fucking chicken all over again, won't it?
You get fucking caught smuggling drugs in and be banned off the planet.
I'm not allowed to do my next main mission. Go fuck this. I'm not playing it no more.
Right, let me see. We've touched on most of the bullet points here, so I'm just gonna jump through what we're able to do. Kind of covered that.
I think another really important one was the being able to put a hat on your companion robot. Was this a So again, I'm assuming this is all part and parcel of like a Bethesda game.
Yeah,
where
there's just the Bethesda games. You can do so much in them. People start asking silly questions, but sometimes the silly questions end up being, "Oh yeah, you can actually do this."
and that's the best thing about the game.
The one question, and it was asked at the very end of the interview, that's got me like super excited, and probably now as well, because he's a big space fan. Like, he loves the space and things like that. So to close out the interview, he got asked, "Is there any black holes in the game?" And he says he declined to answer whether there was or not.
Mad.
So I think there is. If there wasn't, he would just be like, "No."
No,
I think there is.
because he was pretty.
It
In
was
the
pretty
things that he
straightforward.
didn't want to answer, and the things that were definitely going to be a no, like fishing,
Mm-hmm.
it's a no. Where some of the things he was a little bit coy about, which is
Yeah, they just declined to answer whether there's black holes or not. I think there is. And if there is, like, that's going to be
class.
so cool. Like, what way is it going to work going through it? You know, what are you going to see at the other side? Where's it going to bring you? I mean, see, the more,
getting hype.
yeah, the more like I talked to it, I think it's the same with Niall as well. When we're kind of talking about it, the more like after watching the showcase, the more we're kind of talking about it, we're like, fuck, this could be really good. And that's why I keep saying to you, like, if this hits, this is going to be the only one that can take down Zelda for Game of the Year. Realistically. Don't say Final Fantasy.
No, mate. We'll talk about this later.
Don't say 3 out of 5 Final Fantasy. Don't be saying that.
It will be Game of the Year if it hits. But then that's another point. Actually, he came out and said sort of Xbox has been like incredible with support and stuff, isn't it? And what they've been doing, and then obviously the accessibility features and stuff in there to make sure everyone's getting involved. And so it's definitely not going to be a Redfall all over again. Like, that's
no,
definitely not.
Definitely not. That's one thing they said even about the Redfall thing, was like they got in a lot earlier on Starfield to help out with stuff like that there. We know that Ed's been working on the combat, which really shows like in the trailers that we've seen, because the combat actually looks quite good, the shooting and stuff. That does not look like a Fallout at all. in terms of the shooting and all. Definitely doesn't.
Interclass though. Interclass. It's probably one of the best.
Shooters, 100%. That's why I want them to do a Halo game. I want them to do a Halo reboot.
See, this is where the merger of 3 was. We'll not get into that again.
Fucking merger 343. Do you know what? Well, that will be the cue to move on now. So the next subject is actually not Xbox. It's Nintendo.
Don't believe you.
It is, honestly, man. It's Nintendo. So, Nintendo Direct. What day was that?
It was
Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday.
When was it actually?
I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Regardless, anyway, it was earlier in the week. So, what we got was, I'll note these games out and then we'll kind of have a wee chit chat about whatever ones we want to talk about. So, we got Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is the new 2D game.
Looks class.
It looks amazing. We've got Super Mario RPG remake announced for 2023. That's a SNES remake, if I'm right.
Yes, I tried it. So you know me and my retro game, and I go back to play it. Like, I've never actually played all of this through. Played it for an hour, and you know when the whole pixels start kicking in, and it just doesn't feel right because it's not. But then looking at it, I was just like, fucking right. And this is because we were sort of talking about my Switch the other day as well. Now it was sort of like, when's the last time you picked up your Switch? And it was like, I would actually play it for the online side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would play a lot of the Pokemon Puzzle Leagues and Pokemon games and stuff that are in the N64 ones. But this, I sort of went to myself, do you know what the Switch is? It's an RPG machine. And it should be played more like, because see the amount of RPGs and even the platforming games that you can sort of sit and enjoy where you don't have to put a lot of thought into.
Yeah.
That's what the Switch is perfect for. It's literally just picking it up, playing it, having a bit of fun, putting it back down again.
Yeah. And this one looked really, really fun, like, but it's probably something I would have played maybe 20 years ago.
Aye, when it was out.
Yeah.
But again, because it's updated, it's one of those ones, if you get into your Final Fantasies and stuff, or if you like that, yeah, but it is, you know, that's what it is. But then you've got your Sonic as well as Sonic Superstars, again another platforming game. That's where I'm sort of going, the Switch is brilliant for platformers and RPGs. That's literally what I think I'm going to use it for.
The main problem with the Mario games and stuff like that there on Nintendo's IP is like they're so dear.
They never reduce in price.
And like I don't want to pay £60 or £70 for that. Like I really don't.
No, that's fair. That's fair enough.
Like it's not worth. They are fun, like, but they're not £70 fun. Like Zelda was £70, wasn't it? 60 quid.
But that wasn't fun. Sorry, that was fun to begin with.
No, I'll take your first statement.
No, it was fun to begin with, and then by the time you get to the fourth temple, you're like, I'm done now.
I just got real fucking tedious.
It did. It did.
At the end of it.
It can't be game of the year, man.
Starfield.
Has to be.
We'll touch back on this 2D one because the 2D one actually looked really cool. With so it had like these weird fucking flowers that were kind of talking to them. What do you call them flowers? There'll be fire ones.
There'll be fire flowers, and then it like changes the dimension, doesn't it?
Yeah, there was like pipes moving, like a worm and stuff like that. You were jumping up on it. It lets you choose who you want to play as, where you want to play as Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach, Daisy, and Yoshi. I always been a Luigi man.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Back in the Super Nintendo, Super Mario World and stuff like that there, I always picked Luigi.
See, no, it would have been Toad for me. Even
you look like Toad.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. When I first had my Switch, do you ever play Mario Maker 2?
No.
Where you make up your Super Mario Maker. You literally make up your own Mario levels and stuff. People upload their own Mario levels.
Mm-hmm.
I would always be Toad in that. So
why?
I would always be Toad. But then,
do you like mushrooms?
No, mate, haven't tried them. Heard they're loads of fun though.
I was on about normal ones.
No, mate. Well, there's where my mind goes, mate. I do like mushrooms when you're eating the normal ones. Haven't tried the other ones.
No, I wouldn't. Fuck that.
But if I'm playing Mario Kart, it's always Yoshi.
Oh, really? I'd say I would be Bowser.
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
Of course, sure.
100%.
No surprise.
Speaking of Mario Kart, there was deluxe add-on course, new course, alongside PD Piranha Wiggler and Kamak. Are they? Who are they?
So Petey Piranha's obviously the piranha guy, no, the red
Oh,
piranha with
right.
the
Okay.
polka dots.
Mm-hmm.
The Wiggler's the worm. When you jump on him, he turns red and goes nuts.
Right.
Do you know who I'm
Okay.
talking about? Like in Super Mario World, when you jump on them, it's like 6 wee caterpillar with 6 wee
Oh,
bodies.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
jump on him. And Kamak's the flying guy on the broom with the wizard. Throws the
Throws the shit on you. At you.
throws the shit at you. Aye.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the three
Okay.
of them.
That's actually
So
coming out this summer.
that's something I want to get into more, and I think I've said that to you a few times. I wouldn't mind playing Mario Kart a wee bit more.
I
I'd
was
love to
playing
get
for
into the
a,
online.
I was playing for a while, like just trying to going through the courses to unlock all the stuff, and it's really nice, like on the OLED.
Supposedly the online's meant to be really good, really fun
Is it?
as well. Aye, it's meant to be real fun. Like
'Cause Nintendo's not really known for their online, like, are they?
never had an issue with the. I know the likes of Smash Bros and stuff suffers online
Mm-hmm.
from what I believe, but I've never had a problem with Mario Kart. Like it's been pretty fun anytime that I've played it.
Yeah. So
Do you?
there's four more that I want to briefly mention. Detective Pikachu, October 6th. Do you have any affiliation date?
Watch the film.
That's me too.
That's literally the only thing that I've had outside of the normal Pokemon games. That's the only thing I would sort of have affiliation to out of
Yeah,
Pokemon, other than
me too.
collecting
Like,
cards.
it doesn't really appeal to me. It was just kind of the OG Pokemon games. Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 Collection got confirmed for Switch October 24th.
See, that seems like the place that I would probably play that. To be fair,
I just
because
don't think I could. Just looking at it, I know I say I would, but
you're gonna have to play it though.
I don't
You've
want
made
to.
promises, but you've made promises though. They're not long games, I don't believe.
It's just fucking, they look really bad. Like, really bad. Like, I'm not one for going back and playing old games unless, like, I fucking really love them.
But then that's a perfect point. So you went back and played. Well, we'll talk about that after. Well, I'll come back to that point then, if that's the case.
Aye.
You
Right,
don't
aye.
retro play games. So the
No,
other one I've taken from this, I don't know if you've got it down there, is Luigi's Mansion 2.
I do, yeah.
Love the first one. Missed out the second one because I didn't have a 3DS. And then I've got the third one there to play. So I'm actually quite hyped about this coming out because it'll sort of let me play the trilogy.
I've never played any of them. I have the latest one on the Switch at the minute, but I haven't even touched it, to be honest.
Oh, they're so much fun, mate. I love them.
What are they? Like, what do you do?
So you're ghost hunting with Luigi, but you're on the boat. So you have to go through different. Obviously, Luigi's mansion. The first one you go into mansion, and it's like different rooms have different ghosts, and you have to pretty much find ways of beating them. So not all of them are you just go in and you suck them up with a Hoover sort of thing.
Right,
So you
okay.
find ways to beat them, then you unlock keys. So it's like a Metroidvania. You can't get to a certain place until you have a key, and you sort of build your way up. And then obviously at the end of it, you get your ghosts and stuff like that. So you build it up, collecting it that way. It's good fun. It's one
I'll
of
have to
those
give it a
ones where
go.
you just lose your timing. Do you know what I mean? You sort of go, I'll just go and beat this bit, or I'll just go and unlock this, and then you're 3 hours deep.
I must try it because I actually haven't installed them on my Switch. Like, I haven't really played my Switch at all since Zelda. One more I just wanted to mention, which it's kind of actually annoyed me. There's Vampire Survivors coming to Switch in August, and there's
Yes.
4-player couch co-op, which is awesome. But I think it would be better if it was online co-op on everywhere, like the Xbox and stuff, because that would be
couldn't they do
that would be.
though? Why couldn't they do that though?
I don't know. If they're so small of a developer, they might not even have the
Well, I
infrastructure
suppose
to
it's the infrastructure.
do the online, like, but that would be something like, imagine just play. You could lose hours in that playing co-op with your mates, like 100%.
Oh, 100%. You'd lose days to that game. But
But
saying that, surely they've made some amount of revenue from this game. Like,
I like the game itself's only, obviously it's on Game Pass, but it's only like £3, and then I think every DLC they've brought out's only been like a couple of pound. I know, like Tim, every time the DLC comes out, he gets it and gets all the achievements for it. He was big into it. Now put me on it, and then I put him onto it, and he ended up fucking doing everything in it.
I was actually Niall that got me onto it as well. He was like, just pick it up, it's only £1 or something. Or it was on offer, and then it came to Game Pass after getting it on Steam.
Very good game, like really, really good. It needs to be everywhere. It needs to be on PlayStation stuff too.
You said last week it wasn't on PlayStation. I never knew that actually. I was a new learner for me. I never knew Vampire Survivors wasn't on PlayStation.
Yeah, there's actually a new game that I wanted to get this week, but I never actually got around to it, called Army of Ruin, and it's a Vampire Survivors clone, but visually it looks a lot better. Check it out after the podcast. See what you think. I think it's like £6, But it looks class. Like it's getting really
Cool.
good reviews as well. Army of Ruin.
Actually, have a look at that afterwards.
Yeah, it looks. I'm gonna get it. It was only like £6. I want to buy it because it's visually like it looks class, and it's the same concept. You're just moving about and getting upgrades. It's the exact same thing, really. But it looks fun.
And is it online or again single player?
I guess it's single player as far as I know, but it looks fun because it's
Aye.
something like playing your PlayStation. Like if you don't have, or if all you have is a PlayStation, I would check it out. If Vampire Survivor looks good for you, 100%.
It actually looks pretty cool. I just had a quick look at it there. It actually looks decent.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
worth a wee shot.
that's pretty much it for the news. So we're going to kind of get into the moment of truth, which is what we've been playing this week.
What have you
So
been playing? I've been playing WoW.
I fucking WoW. I'd asked what one night one WoW with you, and then I was just couldn't do
One
it.
night. 25 minutes, man.
Okay, it's just one night.
Nah, man.
No, not for me.
I love
It's
it.
just there's a good game there, like, and it would be for me if there's just so much to it.
It's on console, you'll be alright.
If it was on console and a wee bit easier to kind of figure out what I'm doing, and all, like I'm just following you and clicking on quests. I don't know anything about what I'm doing, or I like to know what like the story and stuff like that there, which I don't have a fucking clue.
See, that's because we're skipping through to get to it. Well, we're only sort of getting into it. But it was Niall the same time. I felt the same thing when I played it with Niall the first time around. I was sort of like, what am I doing here? I feel like I'm just doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started reading the wee quest lines and stuff, and it sort of just went, oh, okay. And then that was me. Hooked.
Yeah, like it is something that I would enjoy, but I just don't know. I don't know if I'm done with it or not. That's the thing. I just don't know.
Don't think you've given it long enough. You're only, what, level 14 on the retail, like, so you've given it, what, 2 hours, 3 hours max?
Yeah,
But
it's.
see later on in it, mate. It's see for what you're looking at Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
That's you get all of that at the end. It's I think Diablo done it the arse about face way, where it was like it was really good at the start, and then it sort of started slowing down and became tedious. Where
Yeah,
the start of WoW's quite tedious, you get your grind, but then at the end it's all go go go. So it might be worth holding on to it.
we'll see. Now's back this week. Maybe we all jump on.
He'll talk you through more than what I can, to be fair.
He's a big fucking nerd, isn't
He
he?
is like he is.
So we've both actually played, I would say, maybe about 4 hours all in on Dead by Daylight together as well this week.
Fucking class, mate.
Really fun. Really, 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 really fun. And we're actually maybe jumping on after this year, depending on what time we finish off.
Well, I want to get back again. That's the thing. I want to get back into it because the reason why I dropped off it, I was having real bad server issues. Me and Niall were playing with one or two others, and for some reason we could not get a game. You're waiting 8, 9, 10 minutes, and then it was disconnecting. Like we were having that where the killer left sort of thing with it,
Uh-huh.
and it instantly completed the game, and then you're going into a 10-minute wait again. Where with me and you, it's literally you click it, it's done,
Instant.
you're in.
Yeah. I went on earlier for a wee game on the PlayStation just, and I was by myself and instantly got a game.
Fuck it scares the balls out of me though. Your man and the other night when we were playing fucking caught me off guard. I screamed like a wee bitch, like.
It's good fun, like, and then there's that tenseness where the music goes, and then there's the chase, and are you gonna get away, and all that kind of stuff.
Sweat's running out of your palms. You're like,
Or
I can't do this.
you're standing doing a wee generator, and then Ciaran comes over and starts boom, boom, just doesn't get it right two times on the trot. You actually got told to fuck off by somebody.
I did. He literally just stood up and emoted to me to fuck away off, and I was just like, all right, okay.
But it's very good. Now,
Hello.
one thing that Niall said, and I don't know where you were kind of a bit confused on the whole kind of the wee skill. It's not a skill tree, like the blood web. Have you got kind of come to grips with kind of what you're doing on that now?
I've just keep updating my toolbox and medkit.
Yeah, I'm just getting all the components for it, right?
And then the components, and then my traits, just to have those. But I've got a few of them up to level 3 and stuff like that. But I haven't looked at them enough. It was one of those ones that was just going in, going, right, I need to beat the wee black shit from stopping me from getting somewhere. And I was just randomly unlocking bits. But
pretty much once the entity starts coming, you just need to go for what you want straight away, and hopefully you get it before he fucking goes for it.
That's it. So I sort of took a wee bit more time, and I think it's because I had more time, because you're not only getting one game in a night. Do you know what I mean? Where now it was like, actually I need to think about this because I'm actually able to sit and play the game or have multiple games a night. But it's great fun. Like I would go back to it. I think Niall says he'd pick it up as well when he comes back. So
yeah, it's something like I would jump onto every week, like.
Aye, 100%, 100%. I'd play it. Have you been playing anything else other than the big one, just to keep him waiting?
No. Unfortunately
No.
not, no. Well, no, actually, yes, Hark's Adventures. Jumped
How
on
did you
that.
how'd you find it?
Loved it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
For someone that hates retro gaming, you jumped on Herc's Adventures and loved it.
Mm-hmm. I think this one's kind of got me because it's one I never beat when I was younger.
See,
So,
I thought you never would have played it like.
I know you did. That's why I'm playing it.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah, nobody tells me what to do. What I'm not going to do.
No one puts baby in a corner.
So I'm going to beat it. But no, I was on for about 2 hours. It's really, really good. It's really fun. And I love it.
It's all right. I played it, but the thing about it is, it's one of those games where it will really frustrate the fuck out of you because you know you done something right, but it just didn't register, or you get hit, or I don't know. I'm assuming you. Again, spoilers for anyone that hasn't played this 30-year-old game. the hog bit in the yeah, fuck, that was pissing me off because every time I hit him once, he turned around and swallowed me. And it just kept throwing me out, and I had to go and try and fucking find him again. It took me about an hour to beat him. And I was just like, oh, fuck that shit, this is doing my head in. And then that's where I was sort of like, yeah, I could see this getting really frustrating.
So I actually checked out a video earlier about Herc's Adventures because I was lost after I beat the hog. I was like, where the fuck did I go?
Where did I go now?
And people were actually commenting underneath it saying this was the Dark Souls of PS1.
Do you know what? I could see that because it's frustrating.
And I never thought about that before. Because the map does interlink certain bits, and the enemies respawn if you die.
If you die. Because I noticed that, where you sort of drop down, even if you don't die, because I was actually, this is again where the frustration came in. I was walking across a cliff and I fell off the cliff, but it brought me away back to like the starting point of an area.
Yeah.
And I had to make my way back up, and all the enemies spawned again. And I was like,
and you have to like kind of do a couple of hits and then back off. There's no dodge obviously or anything like that, but you just have to walk away. So I can actually see that comparison. I've never actually thought of that before.
Those I would sit and probably get frustrated at, but I'll probably make my way through it eventually because it's there. Because it's on
co-op as well.
Is it actually?
I don't know if it's online.
Like couch co-op.
Yeah, it's couch co-op, which is fun because there's 3 different characters you can be.
Fair enough. But it'd be one of those ones that I'll probably play when I've nothing else to play. Do you know, where you're like, fuck, what will I play? And then I'll go stick us on for an hour.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad. I actually still can't believe I've got it.
And you're still gonna what with PlayStation Extra or PlayStation Premium it came to, wasn't it, on Friday?
I just bought it. I don't have Premium, so I just bought it. It was only $3.99.
Oh well, fair enough. And it's
hard to like. It's like going for a couple of £100 on eBay and stuff like that.
Fuck, fair enough.
It's like a really sought after game, but not a lot of people know about it.
I never heard about it until because I actually thought you were mistaking it for Hercules.
Loads of people do, because if they say, well, what's one of your favourite games to play? And I'm like, Herc's Adventures. Oh, Hercules? And I'm like, no, Herc's Adventures.
Get it
it's
right.
Different. There's a bit more, there's a good comedy in it and good sarcasm in it as well, which I like.
It's as I say, it's trying to play a retro game for the first time.
It's tough.
Do you know, where if I go back and play Final Fantasy VII, I can sit and play it all day. And it wouldn't bother me. Where if you go back, you'd be like, it's fucking Lego characters. I'm not playing that.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that's a problem. One other game I've been playing just to keep them waiting a wee bit longer: Football Manager. I've pumped all sorts of hours into Football Manager for some reason this week. Just seen it on Game Pass. Just talking about it earlier. And I've put a good couple of hours into it. Got myself promoted.
Who have you been?
Wrexham. I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to be Wrexham. I'm going to get them promoted. I'm going to do this. And then I went to Wiimote and give myself all sorts of transfer budgets and stuff.
Fucking cheating bastard.
But do you know what? It's been fun. And it's sort of, I think there's a lot of mechanics in that where you sort of, if you don't have your head around it, it becomes really daunting.
Aye.
But where if you have that, where you're not fucking getting pressured into, you only have £4 to spend on your transfer market because you're being Wrexham. You can actually have a wee bit more fun with it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's players when you try and sort of go for the higher end players who just tell you to fuck off because
you're Wrexham.
But it's good fun. But I've been putting all sorts of hours into that, and that's me.
See, I played a lot of that on the phone. Back in my other job, I used to get it on the phone, and I absolutely loved it. I used to go and sign all some players that ended up being really good players, like in real life now. Like I used to love it. Get all the young ones that kind of have good prospect and bring them over to Leeds. This is back when we were like in League One. Kind of get them promoted.
Football team you support?
Yes.
We'll not get into that.
All right, Chelsea.
From 2003, mate.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to kick us off?
I thought that was the end of the podcast, mate. No.
Should we end it there and then just keep it going for another week?
just make it keep going. Final Fantasy 16. What a game!
Oh Jesus!
Imagine waiting a week to play this masterpiece.
Fuck me. Imagine coming back from your wonderful holiday to play it.
I don't know why you're. I genuinely, I don't understand how you're shitting on this though.
So what was your impressions of the demo? Because obviously you weren't on the podcast last week. Me and Niall kind of had a chat about it.
The demo, it draws a lot from Game of Thrones. That's the first thing I'll put out. So if you've never watched Game of Thrones, you're getting all of this new to you as such. I feel like it's inspired by Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
My impression of the demo was, this is dark as hell. Final Fantasy doesn't normally do this. So being a Final Fantasy fan, I think it took me interest to go, oh, hold on a minute. Do you know, they're throwing curse words into this, and you're sort of like, I'm not used to this. Do you know, it's like a fucking, hold on a wee minute. Then, obviously, there's a bit in the demo, again, we'll put no spoilers, but there's certain bits in the demo that I was just like, holy shit, this is class.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematics are fantastic. The production the production values and the cinematics and stuff are top notch.
You need to like cinematics, or else you'll not like this game, because most of it is cinematics.
From what you've played?
Well, you're not much further ahead of me, are you?
I put in another couple of hours after you, so right. I'm balls deep in this, mate. This is my game of the year, mate.
Jesus Christ!
On top of all the rest of them, this for me, and I think Niall asked me the other day my 5 Final Fantasies. So 7's first, then 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would go 7, 10, 9, 8, and 13. I think this is probably going to be number 2 or number 3.
Jesus.
For me. And but I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I could say this would probably beat Final Fantasy X for me, personally. But I don't understand how you're not enjoying this. What is it? Because think again, I'm going to bring you into God of War. God of War is cinematic heavy as well. It's a cinematic experience. Because that's what Sony do with their games.
It's not as bad as this.
Mate, behave yourself.
It's not. Like, this is literally like every 5 minutes there's a cinematic or a conversation, and it stops the flow of gameplay straight away. And I'm not even joking. It does.
That's fair enough. No, I'll agree with you there. I will agree with you there. But it opens up. That's all I'll say. It opens up a bit more from that. The thing that I don't understand is last week you're hyping this up. And you did. Now I'll ask you a question. Are you looking forward to getting more of this? You says yes.
Uh-huh.
Then by the time you get it coming out, nah, I'm not playing this game. Not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had the conversation about it. The only thing that could have changed is you reading reviews.
Which I haven't.
But you have.
I haven't.
Because you're sitting in there throwing in all sorts of reviews.
That's just all the shit off Twitter. I'm just kind of, bringing it into the conversation.
I genuinely think you have a fear of liking Final Fantasy because you're so against. Because you literally say it's bowl cut nerds from school. You literally shit on every Final Fantasy fan, and then you turn around and go, I like this. Oh, hold on a wee minute, I'll catch myself on because that'll make me a nerd. And you want to hate this game.
I wanted to like it.
You didn't.
I did.
I don't think you did.
And from the demo, I thought it was going to go somewhere. But it didn't.
But what changed?
The combat's not good.
Why?
It does not feel polished whatsoever. I feel like I'm just hitting the same button and dodging, and that's pretty much it. The movement feels double A. When you're actually running about, it feels double A. It does not feel like a triple A polished game. The jump, which we actually touched on last week about the demo, the jump, you just jump on a straight on a line. There's no like flexibility or movement or anything in that there.
I'll give you that because I was doing it last night just to see what we're talking about, and it's
very static. You jump.
You only move when you hit the ground again. So
and that's pretty much it.
But the combat's class though.
The combat's not class. If you're a baby, you
Mate,
know,
I enjoy the combat in this better than what I enjoyed God of War.
no way. No, definitely not. Definitely not. The combat's not. It's,
Don't get me wrong, it's not revolutionary, but it's a lot more entertaining than what God of War was.
I don't
Because I
think
think
so
the
because you're
pace
just
of it.
hitting the same button.
But you're not, because obviously I don't know how much you've unlocked, but I'm knocking enemies up into the air and beating the shit out of them, and then coming down and you're dragging them over, and
It
you're
feels like I'm playing a game from like the 360 combat.
no, I
And
can't agree with you.
it does. It's not fresh. It's not new. It's button mashy. I don't feel
So
like I'm being challenged, and I'm on the hardest mode available.
you're not
I am.
okay.
Am I not?
So there's obviously in your first playthrough,
Yes, you're talking. You're
yes,
talking two
you're the
playthroughs. I'm on about right now
first
available. I'm
playthrough.
on the hardest available, which is adventure, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not challenging whatsoever. The bosses are spongy, and it's just very repetitive. You knock them down, you go over, you beat the shit out of them, and then it's the
Well,
same thing again.
how's God of War different?
See, Niall didn't gel with the combat, but I don't think he used the combat properly.
So I could say the same for you then with this, if you're saying
But
that
I
it's
am. I'm hitting square. I'm hitting holding the R2 and the square and the triangle and doing all the different masses, and then there's a cooldown for it. So you have the fucking weight ages.
have you been upgrading them as well though?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We circle
I,
up.
I don't I don't know where you're coming from, because it's literally listening to
The
what
the lock on is awful. I have to agree with that. The lock on is awful. You can't lock and just constantly change or whatever you can,
no,
like a Souls game.
that's fair. I'll give you that's one gripe that I had. Now in the demo I had a gripe with the motion blur, because it actually made me feel sick. But
Mm-hmm.
they've seemed to have done something with it without actually adding the feature in. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, I'll
So
agree with that. The motion blur is definitely not as bad, or else I've got used to it. The frame rate still is bad, apart from when you're fighting.
yes, there's dips. There
There's-
is, but
It's
it's
constantly like not at a 60.
no, it's not. But the combat's probably the most important part. I
Fuck
think
me, like when you're walking around and like it's just dropping frames constantly. It's not enjoyable for all the walking you get to do, like which is very little.
exactly. So you're complaining about the most minority part of the game right now, if that's the case, where you can't. You've agreed the cinematics are good. For some reason, you have some sort of issue with the combat. But I like if I compare, and the only thing I can compare it to, in that I compare it to like Devil May Cry's combat, where it's quick, fast paced, and sort of creating
Which
combos.
is about 360 combat generation.
Not really, because you've got right up to Devil May Cry
Mm-hmm. Didn't
5.
really change much,
But they improved on.
but this doesn't seem. This
So
does
what
not.
what a God of War what a God of War do that's not 360 combat?
God of War completely changed their combat and the whole game from God of War 3 to the new one. It's completely like not. You wouldn't even think they're the same game.
See, I couldn't gel with God of War. With this, I'm in.
Them two
I
games, God of War 3 and God of War 2018, are absolutely completely different.
see. I haven't played 3, so I'll hold my
No,
hands up.
so
The only
3,
experience I have is 2018, which is the probably one of the most up to date ones.
I say
Would it be?
they're completely. If you actually go watch like God of War 1, 2, or 3 combat, it's completely different. It's not even close.
See, for me it flows. I like the way you're getting the combos. I like the way you're hitting. I like the way the combat hits. I like the stagger systems and stuff in it, but don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. And the frames are an issue, because you do feel it when you're turning, moving, things like that, 100%. But the way you're shitting on it, I don't believe it deserves that. Like for
And
me, it's if you're going by the ready up scale, it's a 4. Like
no, minus. It's a 3 at most. It's a 3 at most. Like we'll get onto the story as well. So the story, I don't know how I feel about the story because I don't
without
know what's going on.
spoilers.
It feels like I'm what five and a half hours in, maybe 6,
Mhm.
and I feel like I've went through like 4 seasons of a TV show.
And what do you mean?
Like
Like
I've
by cinematics, how much cutscenes there is, or
like just how the stories progressed. Like I've went from obviously the demo to him being a bit more grown up with not much backstory in between that. And then I'm doing this one thing, fighting this one person, and then I've moved on to this, and then the cutscene that I got after a certain fight last night is completely different, which I feel like I'm going to be moving towards that kind of story now. So it feels like I'm moving on to constantly different stories under the one big main story.
but that's where I think
Which
a lot of the
feels like
backstory.
seasons, which a lot of people is actually comparing it to Dragon Ball Z, to their arcs, which I can kind of see the comparison.
But yeah, fair enough. I could see that. The thing with Final Fantasy and what they do is the story doesn't hit necessarily always right away. You be like, I think Niall made a point of 7, for example. There's a certain part in Midgar where you wake up and a lot of shit's happened, and you're like, and again, I'm assuming everyone has played Final Fantasy, but I don't want to give give spoilers because if anyone goes to play before the new one comes out, but there's a certain part when you're in the Shinra building where you're sort of like, okay, shit's just went down, and that's where the story kicks in. But it's about 8 hours into the game, do you know, 6 8 hours into the game, and that's the remake side of things, do you know? So it's that sort of thing where you're going. That's the way their story progresses, so it's not necessarily a jump in right away. But then I actually understand where the story's going. Obviously, it's missing bits,
I
but
do too, and
you know it's
somewhat
going to.
like I know where it's leading to ultimately.
Yeah,
Kind of,
hopefully.
hopefully.
Then the plot twist.
But
But
one thing actually I'll touch on now was kind of what Niall was saying in the chat was the whole pressing the touchpad to get the kind of backstory. I like it. I think it's cool that it's there, but I think it's annoying that every word I hear, I feel like I have to press that button to figure out what's going on.
but you have noticed that the only thing that lore gives you is who's actually in that scene at the time,
Yeah, or if something was mentioned,
or if
if
something was
some
mentioned
kind
that's
of
new.
battle, so if like all the battle of the fucking bull cuts happened here, then you would press the middle button and it would tell you about it.
But you don't need to do that because there's
But
actually a
I want
part.
to. I want to know.
Right, see, no, I'm more. I like to learn it as I go because it's all going to come out anyway. When you listen to it, you'll understand who's
Yeah.
what and where. Where I think, yeah, it detracts from the flow.
It's a good, yeah, it 100% detracts from the flow of it all, like, because you're kind of, you may be in mid cutscene, they mention something, you're like, oh, I want to know what that is, and you press the button.
But then
It's
you
a
end
good
up finding out
idea.
about it 20 minutes later. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
like there's no real point, and that's where I said to Niall when I played the demo. I looked at it, but I wasn't necessarily going. I need to read every bit of this
I
before I
did
continue.
in the demo, but I haven't in the full game because
And
I
have
don't
you
want
enjoyed it
to.
more?
Yeah, there's still some sort of stuff that when they're mentioning, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to know a bit more of the backstory on that.
But then it keeps it going for you, where you're like, oh, I'm going to find out about that. So
Hmm.
it's, do you know, that's where I'm sort of going. It I'm really enjoying it. As I say, for me, it's ticking the boxes. Now, there's some gripes that I have. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it's a perfect game, but
Hmm.
where it's going right now, it's going to be in my, as it is right now, it will be in my top 3.
Mm.
And,
See, we'll touch on what you said last night because you were kind of, I was getting up to a certain bit, certain fight, let's just say, that you
Mhm.
were like super moist about and couldn't wait till I actually went and done it. I done it.
It was an appreciation.
Cutscenes, fantastic, but the combat
Hmm.
involved after the cutscene or in the middle of it, should you say, was not good. And I actually would have rather just that being a cutscene.
See, I enjoyed being in the middle of it, and then
So would
certain
I if it was
certain
good.
bits, but it's certain bits of a kick in, like where you have to do your quick reacts. I'll call it quick reacts. It probably gives you about 45 minutes
I
to hit the
that
button.
stuff
Like,
the quick reacts I didn't mind. That's fine. But it's when they actual put me into the give me
combat.
the combat
It was
at the end of
repetitive,
it. It was I don't think
but
it needed to be there because it was very simple and boring and slow,
but
and it took away
tell me
from the good
this:
cutscene.
when's the last time you seen a game do something of that sort of scale? Now you could see the scale in this in regards to the height of what we're talking about, where you are. That's sort of like, when's the last time you seen a game actually do that? Do you know what I mean? Where it's not up close, if that makes sense. And again, whoever's listening to this will probably understand when you get to it, or if you've got to it. But it's that first time where you actually go, holy shit. And it actually just played well, and then the cutscenes kicking into the middle, and then it was the first big moment, if that makes sense. And I was just like, do you know what? I actually just sat down and went, do you know what? I enjoyed that. And it was one of those where I put the remote down and I just went, I actually enjoyed that. Because of the cutscenes, because of everything that happened, not the combat, but because of everything that happened in it, it was just like,
yeah.
Oh, fuck, that just engaged me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, the cutscene was fantastic. I just thought the bad gameplay took away from it for me.
Fair enough.
It kind of took me out of that. I was pretty hyped watching it. It was like, oh, this is class. And then I got hands on the sticks, and I was like, oh, this is really slow. It's not good. It's kind of taken away from the actual epic fucking cutscene that I just seen.
It does, but then it kicks back in when you're getting all the wee interlinking cutscenes throughout, which I thought
the wee quick kind of time movements. I don't mind that. I actually would rather just been that than put me in the shoes of it, to be honest, because it just did not feel good
for you.
And I think Niall will agree with that whenever he actually plays it.
But do you not think that it counters it completely by the whole? If you look at it as a whole, do you not think you go, actually, that was really well? And that's where I'm saying I put it down and went, for fucks, that was a really good.
As a whole, it was good, but it would have been better without that combat, or if the combat was better.
Okay, fair enough.
For me, I just thought it kind of took away from the epic fucking cutscene that I was getting.
And you thought it just dulled it down for you? Well, look, that's fair enough. But I think overall, if you look at it as the experience of what that whole bit was,
overall, yes, overall the experience was great.
You'd say I took it down from a 10 to a 9, do you know, but it went from a 10 to a 2, do you know, because of it. And that's where I'm saying it's doing that really well. Where I appreciate there's a lot of cutscenes, and it is cutscene heavy to begin with, but it does it really well to keep you engaged. Because do you not find yourself going, actually, I want to go back and play a bit more?
What time is it? We're an hour and 27 minutes in. I think I've kept it going on long enough. No, I'm actually really enjoying
it. Are you really?
Yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. I'll still stand by what I say. The combat isn't there for me. It's not bad, but it's not great. The frame rate is annoying, but the story's cool. I want to see where it goes. I'm interested in kind of where it goes without going into spoilers. I'll maybe go into spoilers with you actually after this.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. I'm actually enjoying it. I'm surprised.
Are you glad you played it?
Yeah. It's made me want to watch like Game of Thrones and stuff. Like I like all that kind of stuff. If there was one, that's what I said, that like now stuff. If there was a Final Fantasy to get me in, it's this one with the whole world on it. I'm a sucker for giant titans and econs, as they're called in this. I'm a sucker for it. And the cutscene that we got after the fight scene, like nothing to do with that fight scene, like kind of the next arc that's starting, was class. The battle.
Oh,
that was class. That's just where I've kind of finished the folk up, and that's where I kind of finished off.
That's where. See, that's and if you go and look at that, that's the way Final Fantasy 15 is. Now, it's a completely different setting. It's not medieval. And Final Fantasy 13 would have that sort of big fights.
I think it's the dark tone that I like too, the more the swearing and stuff like that.
Different. That's it. And that's where it has me in. Where it's like, this is something completely different, and that's where it changes the franchise. And that's where I'm saying that now already he has to rate it 3.5 or 4. Like, if he doesn't, something on him.
I do think the combat will take it down from. I do.
We'll soon find out in a week's time, because he's busting his wee arse. He's meant to be on holiday, and all he's done is talk about how good this game is, and he can't wait to get home and play it.
He hasn't fucking played it, and I've wound him up. It's been the longest time I've wound him up for all week about saying this game is shit.
I know, and do you know what? He's bit every time.
Oh, he's been so easy to fucking bait, like, hasn't he? Over everything. Like, I've been doing it all week, and he's fucking fell for it every single time.
And do you know what? Do you know what the funniest thing about it is? When you talk about the sort of plot twist moments, I've actually been a double agent the whole way through, because Niall's been messaging me and you've been messaging me, and I've just been fueling the fire like shit. between the pair of yous. So you're sitting messaging going, Ciaran, and Mel's going, Ciaran, and I'm like, fucking right. So you're sitting, so I know everything that's going on, and the two of yous are giving the Dixie. So just to let you know, I can't be trusted, mate. After
sure,
all of
yeah.
this whole week. But no, I am looking forward to getting some Dead by Daylight in if you're up for it, and we'll.
Definitely.
Anything
And then
else?
we'll do a wee bit of after the show. We'll have a wee bit of chat. We'll maybe go on Dead by Daylight for a couple of games and kind of go into the lower Final Fantasy. What we kind of because there's certain things that I want to talk about that I'm not sure about, and I think I'm right about, but I'm not. I don't know.
You want me to spoil it for you? Come a wee bit ahead of you.
No, I don't actually. But the only other thing we kind of need to touch on is games releasing this week.
Oh.
So just let me jot down the time here because it's 1:30. It's hard actually doing all this because usually Niall's talking while I jot down the fucking timestamps.
Do it all yourself.
So games that's out this week, both June 29th, AEW Fight Forever. It's on Switch, PS4, 5, Windows PC, Xbox One, Series X. It's kind of like, did you ever play any of the old wrestling games? No Mercy.
Yeah. No, I was SmackDown Know Your Role back in the
SmackDown.
PS1 for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so this is going kind of a wee bit more arcadey and old school rather than the realistic stuff that we're getting from the WWE game. So it looks really good. There's blood, there's barbed wire, there's all that kind of stuff. So depending on reviews, I'll probably pick it up. I think it's only 50 quid or something like that. And the other one we have is Power Wash Simulator, SpongeBob SquarePants Special Pack DLC, which is on everything. Did you ever try Power Wash Simulator?
It's great and relaxing until you have to find that 0.0001% of dirt that's stuck.
Cube of dirt, yeah. I had that
and it doesn't flash because it's that small. Yeah. So again, I played it, enjoyed it, and then lost my mind to it.
Yeah, very good. It's a good game though. Very relaxing, like you say. But apart from that, have you any closing comments before I end the show?
No, all I'm looking forward to is seeing how Niall feels about this last week.
Well, not saying anything until he actually listens to it.
Listens. I'm gonna know if he's listened or not.
It's just been so funny. And then I'm looking forward to seeing him, hearing his thoughts when he gets down to it, because I do think he'll agree with me on a lot of stuff. I don't think he'll be as high as you. I think he'll maybe fall somewhere in the middle.
What's that? 3.5. That's where I say 3.5, 4. That's where I think.
At the minute, it is a 3 for me because the combat is bringing it down. For me personally.
Okay, fair enough. Well, look here.
You know me.
I'm a wee bowl cut nerd, mate. So it's always going to be high for me.
I'm hoping the story brings it on a wee bit, which I think it will.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, 100% it will.
So that's pretty much it. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe and leave a comment maybe if you want. And podcast services, you can review 5 stars, please. Or Apple Podcasts, you can leave a written review. But apart from that, now we'll be back next week from his holiday and normal operations will resume.
It has been a pleasure.
So, goodbye.
Bye-bye.